On the program today, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Gavin Macgregor-Skinner, Senior Director of GBAC, a division of ISSA. Welcome, Gavin.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. Hope you are as well.
Very well.
So we're going to talk about a few points today, some emerging or developing topics that Gavin has his finger on the pulse of. The first one is this. Gavin, why has the pandemic made it so hard and exhausting to make decisions?
I think it's really important, Jeff, for us to put this in context. We sit down for an indoor dinner with friends. We might want to go to a restaurant. A couple of years ago, this was a simple enough activity that required minimal planning. It's not the case today. And many people face a stream of further considerations about the benefits of going out to dinner and the risks. So will I enjoy the experience? What are the potential downsides? Am I comfortable with the restaurant's pandemic-related policies and procedures? Are they cleaning and disinfecting the surfaces that people are touching? What's the ventilation like? Is it very busy there at the time of day? Am I planning to see lots of people or people with weak immune systems? This is after you've gone out to dinner, or any other risk factors in the near future. And to go through questions like that every time we want to do something is really exhausting.
Yeah, my wife wants to go whale watching in Boston, and then we see the numbers going back up. It's like, should we go? All those questions come into play in some fashion.
Well, whales don't have COVID-19. We know that, Jeff, so it's okay.
Right. Take some travel to get there, but thank you for that information, Gavin. You're the scientific guru that I know. Okay. The U.S. federal government has just authorized a first of its kind at-home testing kit. News to me, I thought they had these already. What does this mean, Gavin?
Oh, this is amazing, Jeff. So the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, now they have authorized a first of its kind at-home testing kit. Now, this allows any person, any individual to collect samples. That's going to probably be a swab up the nose or a swab in the throat, and have them tested for a variety of respiratory illnesses. So this will include COVID-19. It'll include influenza A and B. It'll include respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV. Now, this means, Jeff, that anyone will be able to self-identify their need for a test. They'll order it, they'll collect their own sample, and then they'll send it to a lab for testing using, the best test we have, the real-time PCR, the PCR test. Now, the test can be purchased online or in store. Now, the important point here, Jeff, is you will not need to see a doctor. You will not need a prescription. You can make up the decision yourself. I want to be tested. Right now, what we're seeing from the FDA is that samples will be able to be self-collected by individuals, those that are 18 years of age or older. They can be self-collected by individuals between the ages of 14 and 17 if they're under adult supervision. Now, kids ages 2 and up can also use the kits, but adults will need to perform the nasal swab to collect the sample.
So these tests are not the COVID test. This is expanded. What's the cost?
Around about $169, I believe, Jeff, but don't quote me on that. I've only just seen the press release come out this morning and the statement from the Food and Drug Administration. I believe it's around about $169, and I'm really not sure, Jeff, whether that's covered by insurance, but I think it will be.
Things to figure out, I imagine, moving forward. However, I like that idea where you might be able to get a diagnosis at home and not go to the doctor. So that's valuable.
Oh, what about much more convenient, Jeff? Much more convenient. Imagine that. Waking up with symptoms and thinking, I might just test myself today, see whether I can protect my family or even the workers, the people, the employees that I work with.
Yeah, I like it. So what about the free COVID tests we've had so far? Can we still get those? Can we still use those?
Well, have you received any free tests from the government, Jeff?
Well, I've received the 2 or whatever I was allowed.
That's the important thing to talk about today. Now, the US federal government today has now opened up its covidtests.gov. That's COVIDTESTS, covidtest.gov, for a third round of orders. So all US households now, Jeff, are able to order for free an additional 8 free at-home tests at covidtest.gov. That brings the total number of free tests available to each household in the US since the program started in January of 2022 to 16. And if we look at the press release that came out today, this program has now delivered approximately 350 million free tests to American households throughout the country. So what I'd like to recommend to everyone, if you haven't ordered your free tests, go on to covidtest.gov, and I would highly recommend you order those tests, and you can now get up to 16 free tests to use at home.
I just love sticking those up my nose, so I'm going to do that, Gavin, just for the fun. So also today, and today is Tuesday, May 17th, the FDA authorized the first COVID-19 vaccine booster for kids. Is that needed?
This is a really important point I want to make to everyone. We are still learning about SARS-CoV-2 virus, the virus that causes COVID-19, Jeff. Up until now, only children ages 12 and older and adults were eligible for a booster. The Food and Drug Administration has now authorized the first COVID-19 vaccine booster for kids aged 5 to 11 years. Now, what's really important to understand, Jeff, is this authorization by the federal government makes all children in that age group who received their second shot, their second shot of their vaccine at least 5 months ago, eligible to receive a third shot, and it's of the Pfizer vaccine. Now, we know that COVID-19 has tended to be less severe in children than compared to adults until we got the Omicron wave. And with the Omicron wave, we've seen more kids getting sick. We've seen, well, again, with COVID-19 disease, we've seen more kids being hospitalized. And we've also seen some of these kids experience longer term effects. So even after, say, just mild disease. So this is again, vaccines do work. They do prevent, severe symptoms. They do prevent death. So this is really important. Now, there is now a vaccine booster available for kids between the ages of 5 to 11.
Oh, good news for parents and kids, of course. So all this is great information, Gavin. Last question is about travel. We're entering the summer months. People are going to be on vacation, traveling different ways. Has the government changed anything regulation-wise or suggestions regarding travel?
Well, I don't know about you, Jeff, but as you said, it's Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, and I've had a really busy 2 days. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, yesterday updated its guidance for people traveling within the United States. And as you said, Jeff, it's summer. People are going to take vacation. They want to get outside. It's been 2 years, sometimes longer. Let's make sure we can travel safely. The CDC has now recommends all domestic, this is not international, this is domestic travelers within the US to consider getting tested as close to the time of departure as possible. So no more than 3 days before you travel within the state, outside of your state where you live. Again, Jeff, this advice notably includes travelers who are current with their vaccines and their boosters, but it also includes all those travelers that have not been vaccinated. So it's actually for everyone. And what the CDC has said is that the testing guidance also applies to after your trip. So when your trip is over, if you've spent time in areas that are crowded with people indoors, both indoors and outdoors, then the CDC now recommends taking a COVID-19 test after domestic travel. If your trip has involved situations with greater risk of exposure, such as being in a crowded place while not wearing a face covering or a mask. And I would recommend that you can also check your travel, the travel requirements for like both state or even your local requirements and the recommendations for your destination. So make sure you do those Google searches before you leave. So with all those free tests now being provided by the government, we can now actually implement and do testing at home to ensure that we travel and return safely from any vacation we take this year.
If only I had seen this coming, I would have invested in no swab stock, but it's too late now.